organization, which is chosen from the subject business organization for our BCom first year first semester students of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. In today's session, we are going to discuss into various forms of business organization, exploring their suitability, advantages and disadvantages. We are honored to have with us Professor I. Anand Pawar, Dean, Faculty of Commerce and Business Management and Director of CSTD, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University, Hyderabad. Another guest we have Professor Ravi Akula, Head, Department of Commerce, Mahatma Gandhi University, Nalgonda. Both have over 20 years of experience in higher education. The whole program is for 60 minutes. The first 40 minutes will be dedicated for in-depth discussion led by our esteemed resource persons. The remaining 20 minutes will be open for question and answer session where viewers can interact with our experts and they can clarify their doubts. To participate, please call on the number 040-236-80456. Again I repeat 040-236-80456. Dear students, please ensure your questions are related to today's topic only. So before we start program, let me give a brief introduction about today's topic. Selecting the right form of business organization is a critical decision impacting a business success and sustainability. It involves evaluating various structures like sole proprietorship, partnership, limited liability partnership, private limited companies, public limited companies, joint stock companies, cooperative societies and one-person companies. Each form carries different characteristics, advantages and disadvantages, influencing various factors like legal requirements, raising of capital, tax obligations, liability, management, control, continuity and flexibility. So moreover, especially for commerce and management students, understanding these implications are very crucial as they are future entrepreneurs and business leaders. So making informed decisions about their business structure will depend on their business success. So today our esteemed resource persons will guide us through essential factors to consider when making these decisions. To elaborate more on this topic, I would like to ask Professor Pawar, could you please explain what is business and what are its objectives?
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Saritha, for introducing the topic. Dear friends, today we are here to learn something more about various forms of business organization and how to choose. So before going into the details of the topic, basically we need to understand what is business. Business is an human efforts, all human efforts that are directed towards production and exchange of goods and services. It means in economic activity, any economic activity that involves in the production or exchange of goods and services with a motive to enhance, increase profits as well as customer satisfaction. So if you look at the features of the business, business is an economic activity and which involves production or manufacturing or sometimes exchange of goods, means trading, buying and selling of goods. And also if you look at when we talk about business, very purpose of business is making profits. So business objective mainly lies with profit. Therefore, for making any business profit, we have to satisfy the customers. So customer satisfaction, and it is also important factor that we need to consider to understand the business. Business involves what you call risk and uncertainty. So when you understand business, we need to understand these are the elements of business. It should be a economic activity, there must be production or manufacturing of goods and services or exchange of goods and services, and then profit, customer satisfaction, risk and uncertainty factors, all put together we can describe as business. So we already discussed about some business has some objectives, because very purpose of business is to make profits or enhance our profit. So when you are talking about making profit, business has not only one objective, making profit, but also other objectives too. They are, we call it economic objectives, social objectives, human objectives, national objectives, and global objectives. When we talk about economic activities, so as I said earlier, economic activity starts with profit earning. So business, very purpose of business is making profit. And number 2 element under the economic objective is there must be creation of customers. Business has to create its customers. Without customers, there is no business. And therefore, creation of customer base is very, very important while making or starting any business. So at the same time, to create customers, to provide some goods and services, and therefore we need to utilize the best use of resources available with the business organization. So resources are required, and then through resources we can either produce or trade the activities, and in order to make profits and creation of customer base. So if you look at the social objectives of any business organization, so society expects something from business, that is quality product. Generally as a customer we expect quality products. So business objective should be producing not only just product, but also they should be quality to satisfy the customer needs and also to meet the expectations of the customers. Thereby we can achieve this objective. And similarly, whatever business we do, it must be fair trade or fair business or fair transactions, because every business organization starts with some legal entity or legal requirements, based on legal requirements. So we need to provide, business must provide fair trade or fair business or fair activities without involving into illegal activities. And third point would be welfare of the society. Ultimately through business what we have to ensure is welfare of the society by satisfying societal needs through quality products and services. And next objective is human objectives, where the business has to look after the well-being of the employees, because business means there must be some employees, those who are working for the purpose of production and exchange of goods and services. So well-being of the employees is also one of the objectives of the business organization. Similarly, satisfaction of employees. So not only making them or providing them some facilities, but also we have to ensure the satisfaction of the employees. Without satisfaction of the employees, we cannot create quality goods and services and thereby profits. Similarly, well-being of society as well as economically backward people. So society, business has an obligation to take care of certain segments of the customers. They may be socially or economically backward. Similarly, business has national objectives, where national goals and aspirations need to be met by any business entrepreneur or business organization. Thereby the business is also able to create employment opportunities to its citizens. So businesses also have national objectives, and then global objectives. Business also have global objectives to enhance our market base or increase our market base and expand our business into big market. So any small business today may be a big market tomorrow. So how it is possible? We need to expand our horizons from local to global. And next point is, when you are going for global business, there must be a competition, not only locally but also globally. So one has to meet the competition by quality product and durability of the product on par with the competitive products in the market. And then entry into foreign markets. So when you are having all these essential processes, then you can easily enter into foreign markets, thereby you can earn foreign exchange. So any business, or every business rather, will try to acquire foreign currency or foreign exchange in order to enhance their profitability and market expansions. So thereby all these objectives are need to be attained by any business organization. So this is how we need to understand the objectives of business.
Thank you, Professor Pawar. Very well explained about the objectives. Understanding business objectives lays the foundation for the entrepreneurs. Now my next question is to Professor Ravi Akula. Sir, will you please enlighten the characteristics of business?
Yeah, thank you, Saritha. Dear students, as rightly introduced by the earlier speaker, the resource person, he has enlightened the features and also the characteristics of business. Now, as an entrepreneur or the future business leader, one need to understand the characteristics, because to choose the right business form, we need to know what a business is and what are its features or the characteristics. So business, the word itself says any of the activity which is in economic nature and which involves any of the things like production or distribution, maybe trading or facilitating these activities like transportation. It's a kind of business. Storage, warehousing is a kind of business. So many examples can be quoted for the word business, but in general every business will be reflected with the characteristics of the production, exchange or facilitating these exchange of goods or services is the prime activity which will take place in the business. Secondly, business is an economic activity. So with the profit motive and the exchange of the resources, that is, the price will be paid by the customer, out of which the excess of the cost will be the profit for the business entrepreneur. So there they need to understand what economic activity is. For example, purchasing the goods at lesser price and selling them at a little bit higher price, the difference will be the profit, which is at the nature of the business activity. And the next point is business primarily established for the purpose of profits. Profit maximization is one of the basic objectives of any business in the long run, which results in the wealth maximization. So without profit, usually with few exceptions, maybe charitable organizations or non-profit organizations, rest of the business firms or the business organizations usually will be established with the primary motive of the profit. And next, the continuity of the transactions. For example, if we do one sale or one purchase activity, it cannot be termed as a business. Yes. There should be continuity of the operations, the selling or purchasing or transportation, storage. The transaction should place repeatedly. And next is the risk and uncertainty are the inherent elements of the business. There is no guarantee that even though we are looking for profits, but there is no guarantee because of various other reasons, unforeseen reasons, uncontrollable factors, we may also incur the losses also. And business deals with the future. Certain times it may also result in uncertainty. And the last thing is, for the long run survival of the business organization, as Professor Pawar said, the customer satisfaction is the ultimate objective through which it can be leading to the market maximization, the market share maximization, and also the globally brands can be established with that business. So these are the few characteristics which can be seen in business. Thank you.
Very insightful, Professor Ravi. Understanding these characteristics are very crucial in determining business success. Now my question is to Professor Pawar. Sir, in continuation of the characteristics, please could you explain what are the important elements of business that students should know?
Yes, very right and pertinent question. Yeah, friends. So when we talk about business, when you think about business, generally people use different terms like trade, like industry, and sometimes commerce. Though we use all these terms interchangeably, but all these things are not the same. They are different. But we call it he is very commercial, or she is very commercial, and he is doing business. So what is the difference then? See, we call business, we also call commerce, we call trade, and we also call industry. Then what are these elements? We need to understand as commerce students, we need to understand these are the elements of business where we can define all these elements are different, and these all put together we call it as business. So broadly when we talk about business, business is a broader term wherein industry, trade and commerce are inherent characteristics. So let us talk about what is industry then. Industry is a place where raw material gets converted into products. It is a place where products are being produced, is generally known as industry. We also call it as industry as a sector where the production activities are undertaken. It may be sometimes industry may give you the comprehensive product, or sometimes it may give you products need to be reproduced later on. So these industries are can be classified into three categories: primary industry, secondary industry and tertiary industry. Then what is primary industry? Primary industry is the industry where what you call extraction and harvesting of natural resources are converted into products and services, mostly products, physical products. For example, coal mine industry, from where we extract coal mines. And it is also, we can also consider agriculture as a primary industry or primary sector, where production also, different forms of production takes place. So when all these activities are related to rearing and reproduction of goods and services, we call it as primary industry. And when it comes to secondary industry, which involves manufacturing and construction, for example, factories and construction companies, builders, construction of dams, projects and all that. So manufacturing is the industry where they take raw material and convert into finished products, whereas industry may produce raw material into semi-finished products. But when it comes to this secondary industry, these also takes raw material, but they will produce finished products, saleable products. And third form of industry is tertiary industry, where services are being produced and provided. Banking services, insurance services, telecom services, education is also service, and so on. There are all umpteen number of services are there. So we call it primary, secondary and tertiary sector. This is all about industry. When it comes to trade, what is a trade? Trade is it takes exchange of goods and services. Trade means buying and selling of goods. They do not produce any products. They only buy from the wholesaler and resell to wholesalers and ultimate customers. Therefore we call it trade. Trade means they only exchange the goods. They buy and they sell. They will not produce. Therefore we call it is a trade. And then when we talk about trade, internal trade will be there and external trade will be there. What is internal trade? Local or domestic trade, which takes place within the country's boundaries. And then global exports, export industries also there. So similarly, when we talk about internal trade, retail trade and wholesale trading, and external trade, it is import trade, export trade and intraport trade. So we all of us know retail trade, because who buys goods and services in small in number or size, or scale and sale to the customers. And wholesale retail is the wholesaler who buys products in large quantities and sell it to the retailers and then ultimate customers. Similarly, when we talk about import trade takes place only when we import from foreign countries to our country, and export also takes place when we are exporting our surplus products. After meeting local requirements, we go for export to get foreign exchange. Similarly, intraport is also one kind of trade where we import certain products and export to some other countries where it is not available. So this is the kind of trade which imports from one country and export to some other country. This is intraport kind of trade. And when it comes to third element, which is commerce, we all of us know commerce is a comprehensive term which includes trade, industry and everything which are related to economic and non-economic activities which are interrelated and comprehensive. It is a system. Commerce is a system and comprehensive focus of all these elements, and put together we call it business. So we need to understand, before we understand business, we need to understand what are the basic and important elements of business like trade, industry, trade and commerce. Then only you can understand as a comprehensive approach. Through comprehensive approach you can understand the term called business.
Very insightful explanation, Professor Pawar. And these elements are very fundamental for budding entrepreneurs. After understanding the basics of business, now we are moving to the forms of business organization. Now my question is to Professor Ravi Akula. Sir, what factors should one consider while selecting a suitable form of business organization?
Yeah, this is the right time to know. Of course, there are variety of opportunities are there for the people who would like to start an enterprise. But the different forms of business requires different statutory obligations, and there are certain procedures prescribed for different business organizations. For example, the sole trader business can be started very easily when compared with partnership or a company form of joint stock company form or cooperative society, because to be a partnership firm it need to be registered. To be a joint stock company it need to be incorporated, and same is the case with the cooperative societies. So different business forms will have different procedural aspects. So there are several factors which influences the business people or the entrepreneurs to choose. So before opting for a suitable business form, they need to consider several things which are the important factors based on which the suitable business form can be selected. So there are about 8 to 9 factors which influences the choice of business form, like nature of business activity. So what is the nature? So depending on it, how much people are required, employees are required, how much management is required, how much capital is required, how much material is required. So depending on the nature of the business, the requirement of the resources, requirement of finances, requirement of human resources differs. So one need to consider what is the nature of business activity they are going to choose. And next is the scale of operations, whether they are going to produce in large quantities or small quantities, and what is the amount of investment both in the long term capital as well as the short term capital is required. So because quantity is related to the investment of materials. So based on the scale of operations, the other point which comes to mind is the capital requirements. So how much capital is required, and the capital of different nature depending on the maintenance, maybe long term capital which can be invested in the form of plant and machinery or buildings or other fixed assets, or the short term capital that is for the daily routine operations, which is also called as working capital. So the people who would like to start an enterprise should consider the capital requirements before commencing their business or before choosing their form of business, because the sole trader, the capital requirements will be different. Partnership, the capital requirements will be different. For a cooperative society, it is different. Further, when we are discussing about joint stock company also, the capital requirements used to be differ. So we need to consider what is the requirement of capital. That is one of the important factors. The next is degree of control and management. So as we know, in sole proprietorship kind of thing, only one person will be there who used to control and manage all the business affairs. When it is compared with other forms of business like a partnership or cooperative society, for example, cooperative society, it is a democratic process where each member will be having vote. They are free to decide what to do. The management committee will be elected by all the members. So what is the degree of centralization in terms of control or decision making, also one of the factors. The next is degree of risk and liability. How much risk they would like to bear, how much liability they would like to own, whether it is limited or unlimited, and how that can be limited. There are, for example, in case of joint stock company, the liability is limited to the amount contributed by the shareholder. So whatever the amount of loss incurred by the company, it is not going to demand the personal assets. But in case of sole proprietorship, if the business incurs losses, the owner need to sacrifice his own assets to repay the loans or the liability. So whether it is limited liability or unlimited liability, whether higher risk is intended by the business people or lower risk is intended by the business people also matters while choosing the forms of business. Then the stability of business, flexibility of administration, the division of profit, whether the earned profits are to be distributed or to be used for the expansion of business, what they are going to do, whether they are going to retain the earnings or distribute the amount in the form of the dividend or other formats. Not only that, the different business forms will have different procedures, as I told in the beginning, the costs and also the legal matters. So in case of joint stock company, audit is a statutory obligation when it is compared with sole proprietorship, which is not a mandatory. So like that, we need to follow several government obligations and regulations. So depending on the interest of the people or the entrepreneurs, they need to consider these 8 or 9 points while choosing the appropriate business form.
I would like to supplement to Professor Ravi. So when we talk about factors influencing to choice or choice of business firm to choose, before considering all these 9 to 10 points, though these are factors determining your choice, but before that one has to have 3 qualities to look into this business choice. One is one should have passion to start business and or do business. So find your passion, whether you are passion in a particular business or not, otherwise don't go for business. And second point would be discuss with your business plan with your friends and business members, those who are having existing businesses. So discuss your business plan with the members of the business. So you will be able to know what are the factors really determine you at the beginning, in the process, and throughout your business career or life. And last but not the least, review the common business structures. So how many business structures are available, then you decide one by one. So in this continuation, I would like to focus on what are the forms of businesses are available to choose. These are the basic points and these are the factors influencing to select a business form of business organization. So there are 5 to 6 forms of businesses.
Yes.
They are sole trading is one, single man business or one man business, and then Hindu undivided family business, HUF we call it, or a Hindu family business. And third one is what you call partnership business firm, and fourth is cooperative form of business where all the members will contribute and share the good and bad everything equally and democratically. And next form of business would be company form of business, we also call it as joint stock company. So this is how we need to understand. These are the 4-5 forms of businesses: sole trading, HUF, Hindu Undivided Family form of business, partnership form of business, cooperative form of business, and joint stock company. Again, under joint stock company, we will also discuss about whether it is private company or a public limited company. These are the types of businesses. And also new what you call emerging area is called OPC. One person company is also available to choose and undertake your business passion. So these are the forms of businesses.
Thank you, sir. Thorough evaluation of these key elements and also understanding these structures for student is very important. Now I would like to ask a question to Professor Ravi Akula. Sir, would you please explain the sole trading forms of business and its salient features?
So the first and foremost easiest form of business to start is undoubtedly the sole proprietorship or sole trader, because it has a lot of advantages and it is very easy to commence the business. Establishing a sole proprietorship is very easy because there are no legal procedures, no paperwork, nothing to be registered. So very simple to start the business. When we are looking at the sole proprietorship, we can find several features related to sole proprietorship, like it is a single ownership, only one person. The complete business is owned by a single person, which will be managed, controlled and decided. Whatever the owner would like to do, he can do, because there is no question of any discussions, there is no question of any voting kind of thing. So it is owned by a single person. And the other thing is, the sole proprietor can maintain the business secrets, which is not possible with other forms of business, because when we are discussing about partnership form of business, all partners should be known about the business plans. Several times the business secrets need to be revealed. Unless and until we take all the partners into confidence, the decisions cannot be implemented. So maintenance of secrets is one of the advantages and features of sole proprietorship. And the government control is very less, because as far as the sole proprietorship is concerned, there are no stringent rules or regulations. The owner of the business always consider the business as integral part. So even though in accounting terms we used to say business entity concept, business is different, owner is different. Right. That is only for accounting context only. But in real term practice of business, the business owner and the business are one and the same as far as the consideration of the business is concerned. The sole proprietor will always take enough care and he will take all the precautions to save the business. And the other one is, it is very flexible. As it is managed by single person, he can change the business activities, business directions, business plans. In case of company, for example, if a joint stock company is to be converted into different activities, there are so many legal procedures are there. They need to alter the documents like memorandum of association or articles of association, because their business is mentioned in those documents. But in case of sole proprietorship, there is no fixed document kind of thing. As and when some business is looking profitable, attractive, then he can shift into that business. He can add the product portfolio depending on the circumstances and the business demands. And the other thing is, whatever the profit or the loss incurred by the business, that is the 100% share of the business owner. And next is the legal status. Here, as I told you already, the sole proprietorship and the business are considered to be one and same. So these are the few features where the sole proprietorship is represented.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. As in our Indian business environment, we see more more sole proprietorship form of businesses which are very foundational for many small business houses. Now my question is to Professor Pawar, what characteristics the partnership form of business should possess?
Yeah, before we go into the partnership form of business, I would like to throw some light on sole trading business, because there are several advantages and disadvantages which are discussed by Professor Ravi. But one advantage is our entire profit will be enjoyed by the sole trader. Similarly, every risk will be paid by the same sole trader. So as and when risks are emerging continuously, then a sole trader will look for sharing the burden or losses. See, as long as sole trading is moving in the direction of profit making, he will never think of partner. But when he started incurring losses, and that too continuously, then he will think of sharing losses in the form of partnership business. So where partnership business starts? When a sole trading business firm is not successfully going on or continuously incurring losses, then that sole trading concern owner will look for partnership to share the burden of losses. Then the origin of partnership business comes. Yeah, so see, when we talk about partnership business, so partnership business is a business where two or more persons will get together and start their business. It is also as good as sole trading partner business, but when two persons or more are involved, we call it partnership business. And remaining all other features are one and the same, are like sole trading business firm. Agreement will be there between the partners, but it is not there in case of sole trading, because there is no partners. And whatever you do, business should be lawful, whether it is sole trading or partnership or company farm or anything else. And similarly, this partnership business also should be a lawful business or ethical business or fair trade or business. And the partnership business should be recognized, the company business should be recognized, whereas partnership is not mandatory, because it is not mandatory part of the form of business, that is partnership business. And similarly, when we talking about profit, so here in partnership, profit also takes place, and they are shared. So profit sharing will be there, and unlimited liability as in case of sole trading, because here also the partners also going to bear if anything goes wrong with the business or losses, and they have to bear from not only to the extent of their business contribution but also from their personal behalf. So it is unlimited, not restricted to their sharing. Similarly, it is not a separate legal entity, and transfer of interest, in partnership business you cannot easily transfer the share from one to another. You can transfer the share only when all other partners give consent to transfer the ownership or share. So this is what the condition which applies in case of partnership business. And then mutual trust and confidence. When you start business in collaboration or with partners, we have to have respect towards each other, and we have to trust each other, and also we have to have a confidence in all the partners, or if it is two, in each other. Otherwise the partnership business will not move forward. So these are the characteristics of business. To make it very simple, partnership business has certain advantages and disadvantages. So as good as sole trading, but what are the advantages? It is also easy to form business. So formation of business is very easy when compared to company form of business, and it requires huge amount of capital when compared to sole trading, and also when compared to company form of business. So company form of business require more capital than partnership business. And third one is, there must be some specialization and balanced approach in case of partnership business. And then personal incentives and direct supervision will take place, therefore it is an advantage. And the partners can actively look after the business, and also they can make decisions on time to make business success. Similarly, we can also have a what you call business secrecy. Similarly, in case of sole trading, so partnership business also have advantage of secrecy, business maintaining secret business secrecies. And similarly, there are certain limitations or disadvantages with partnership business firm, because we all of us know liability is unlimited. Beyond their business contribution they have to bear, and then limited resources. You know, when compared to company, the partnership business firm will have only limited resources, but it is higher than sole trading form of business, because only one person and contribution is also one. Therefore, when two people will become into one business, definitely capital will be little more when compared to sole trading, but when compared to company it is less. Therefore, capital is also one of the limitation in case of partnership. And similar risk and uncertainty also involved as good as sole trading. And then lack of continuity. Partnership is not certain, because if any disagreement between the partners, business may not continue, or any mistrust is taken place, the business may not continue, or if any partner loses the confidence in other partner, also business may not continue. So uncertainty of continuity, business continuity is also there. And similarly, you know, public disruption will be there, disturbances will be there, and also there are certain environmental factors where the partnership form of business also will face, and also to govern by all environmental factors. So this is how we can understand about what you call what partnership form of business.
Thank you, sir. After understanding the when additional capital is required by the business, additional skill is required by the business, sole proprietorship firm will be changed into partnership, and it requires a special agreement which is called as partnership deed. Thank you, sir. And now I ask Professor Ravi Akula sir, how does HUF function, Hindu Undivided Family function as a business entity, and explain its advantages and disadvantages. Okay.
So, after knowing about the characteristics, advantages and disadvantages of sole proprietorship and partnership, there is an age-old business form which is existing in India, is Hindu Undivided Family. Nowhere in the world you can find such business except India. And the religions of Hindus and Jains and Buddhists, these religions are known for the Hindu Undivided Families, and it has its own advantages, because to become a member in HUF, no procedural documentation is required. By virtue of birth or by virtue of the relationship establishment, say like marriage, the incoming member will become the owner automatically, naturally. The karta, the eldest person, the male person in the family, will leading the business affairs or managing the business affairs with the help of all the family members. So HUF is also a form of business where it is having certain benefits in the form of the tax, and also it has the advantage of management and control. As we know, naturally when the elder person or the elder says something, it will be considered as an instruction to others, so all other members will follow the instructions or the decisions taken by the karta. And inclusivity you can find, all the family members will feel the responsibility of their business, and they will share the responsibilities and finances. Not only that, they will be having the rights on the assets. In HUF there used to be the ancestral properties, maybe generated with their business activities, or they may be transferred from the past generations, that will be managed effectively. And HUF is given with certain privileges in terms of the Income Tax Act. So the gifts given to the family members by the karta up to the prescribed extent are exempted from the tax, and the slab rates are also little bit beneficial to the HUF business firm. So here the management is very easy, and to gain the tax benefits, people used to prefer the form of Hindu undivided family over the sole proprietorship.
Thank you, sir.
I would like to add, Professor Ravi, in this case, HUF, Hindu Undivided Family Form of Business. There are many examples when you talk about, Haldiram Foods by Shivakishan Agarwal from Rajasthan, who started and running the business even today. So it is a Hindu Undivided Family kind of business. And if you look at Tata Sons, Tata and his sons, also Ratan Tata and all other Tata group of companies are running. Initially it was Hindu Undivided Family, and M&M, Mahindra and Mahindra also HUF family business firm, it is still continuing. And when it comes to Reliance Industries Limited is also Hindu Undivided Family Form of Business. Initially, these are all the initially. And when it comes to Telugu states, Ramoji, particularly Ramoji Rao's business, you take 𝗬𝗁𝗧𝗧 or Priya Pickles, or you can take 𝗬𝗁𝗧𝗧 Chit Funds, you can take Print and all that. These are all Hindu Undivided Family Form of businesses, now converted into entrepreneurs and company form of businesses. So initially these all are Hindu Undivided families, later on converted into entrepreneurs, and when they grow they convert into company form of business. So when we talk about next point, what is that?
Cooperative forms
cooperative form of business. When we talk about cooperative, third form of business, companies or form of business, we all of us know is cooperative form of business, means one for all and all for each.
Yes.
Or one. So it is together democratic form of business organization where members will join together for sharing common interest, common benefit and common advantages. So this company form of business was started in 1912 as per the Act of 1912, and where the types of cooperative forms, if you need to understand, consumer cooperative form of businesses are there, producer cooperatives, workers participation or cooperatives, and purchasing cooperatives, housing cooperatives. So when we cannot start any business or any startup, we go for what cooperative form of business. So today I will take the help of other partners, and tomorrow I will extend my help to other partners. So it is win-win situation for any form of business. So where every member will join in this group as a voluntary member. See, all this cooperative form of business starts with voluntary association of members, and then controlled by everyone, not by any individuals. So everybody is boss, and everybody can control the business, everybody can contribute in the form of decision making, and everybody will contribute some or the other economic point of view or service point of view, and autonomy and interdependence is also there, and education, training and information will be shared among all the partners. And this is the form of business where profit is not motive, but sharing of advantages or contribution of every individual for making one another. So this is one form of business organization before the formation of joint stock companies.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Very insightful explanation with best examples. Now my question is to Professor Ravi Akula. Sir, will you please describe the characteristics of joint stock company and its advantages and disadvantages?
Yeah, now it is time to know about the modern age development in terms of the industrialization or other reasons. As the resource person Professor Pawar said, because of the limitations of one form of business, like the limitations of sole proprietorship resulted in the formation of partnership. Similarly, the limitations of partnership results in some other forms of business. Finally, the thing we need to know is the form of joint stock companies. So joint stock companies are nothing but the large number of people, say the shareholders, who contributes the share amount and establishes a big amount, and represented by the separate management, which is known as the board of directors. Here the agency issue comes into mind. When we are talking about joint stock company, owners are different and the management is different. Now it is an artificial entity. When we are talking about joint stock company, one need to mind is it is a corporate establishment which is recognized or registered as per the Companies Act. Presently Companies Act 2013, earlier it was Companies Act 1956, and it is characterized by several features. That is, it is an independent legal entity. As I told, it is the legal personality, and its liability is limited, and it is having the common seal, and it is different from the ownership. As I told, the management is different, and in case of several types of companies, say let us take the case of public limited company, the shares are free to trading. That means people who are interested to sell, they can sell. People who are interested to buy, they can buy through the platforms like stock exchanges. And its existence is perennial, perpetual. A company is established with a view of continuing forever. And the other thing is, it is an association of persons. Several people are associated with an objective of meeting their targets by establishing a legal entity in the form of a joint stock company.
Thank you, sir. Now my question is for Professor Pawar, sir. What is limited liability company and what are its benefits?
Yeah, when we talk about giant stock company, any company, when we expand into different entities and expand into different domains of businesses, we call it as giant stock company or a company. But the company is divided into mainly two types: private company and public limited company. Private limited company and public limited company. So when we talk about company, company is a legal entity, unlimited liability, and the owners and the board of directors are different, because some professional managers will manage the business, those who are having some skill, business skills and all that. So we call it executives or managers. But when you look at the company form of business, based on the listing of its shares, there are different differences between these two form of companies, that is public limited company and private limited company. If you consider the elements of these two companies and to compare listing of shares, in case of public company, the shares will be traded on the floor of stock exchanges, because these companies are listed in stock exchanges where business transactions takes place there in the floor of agencies called stock exchanges. Whereas in case of private company, this facility is not there. They have to raise capital from their friends, relatives and other sources as their capital. And when it comes to capital in case of public limited company, so minimum capital is paid up capital requirement is higher than private company, and number of partners are the owners of this company or investors or shareholders is different. In case of private limited company, it is minimum is 2, maximum is 50. Now it is 200 according to Companies Act 2013.
Yes.
And when it comes to public limited company, minimum is 7 and maximum is unlimited.
Yes.
This is the difference, basic difference in case of membership. And capital is definitely private limited company will have less capital than public limited company. The members count are also discussed, and see, in case of public limited company, company has to issue prospectus to invite capital or raise the capital from the open market, whereas this facility is not there in case of private limited company. Transfer of share. In case of public limited company, transfer of share is easy, but it is not that easy in case of private limited company. Public disclosures. So it is mandatory to file all the earnings reports or all the statements, financial statements with the public. It is mandatory on the part of public limited company, but sometimes it is not required in case of private limited company. Funding. Public company to compulsorily offer shares to existing shareholders, but in case of private it is not possible because they have to share among within the existing members of the existing
Yes, sir.
shareholding. And directors, minimum number of directors in case of public limited company would be 3, and in case of private limited company is minimum 1. And then what is the motive? In case of public limited company, it is a socio-economic cause or motive, but in case of private company, it is completely profit making organization, and motive is very earning profits. And management, when we come to management part, so management is quite rigid and inflexible in case of public limited company, because government will appoint the managers to manage the business organizations. But when it comes to management by private, because these are managed by owners, private company is managed by owners. This is how we need to understand the difference between these two private and public limited companies.
Thank you, sir. We are in the last question now. My question is to Professor Ravi Akula, sir. What is one-person company and how does it differ from other business forms?
Yeah, this is a unique business form. Several times it looks like a sole proprietorship kind of thing, but it is different, because the sole proprietorship, there are no legal procedures, no registration kind of thing is required. But in case of one person company, it is a kind of company as per the Companies Act. There are several sections prescribed for it, which mentions a single person can also start a company. This is the unique feature. When we are talking about the partnership or cooperative society or some other things, there is minimum 2 members required. But in case of this one person company, with only single person, the company can be started. Now there are no statutory obligations to conduct the annual general meetings, or there is no question of appointing any directors. The remuneration kind of thing also, it is not controlled by any statutory sections. So one person companies can enjoy several privileges compared to other forms of business. The starting of business is very easy.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And now the last question, which is very important. I would like to ask Professor Pawar, what are the current emerging trends in business, particularly in startups and ventures in India?
Yeah, friends, very interesting topic, because startups nowadays we are in the age of age of business. So startup business and entrepreneurship business, these two are emerging trends, and every day and every facet of life we are talking about it. When we talk about startup is a business which is a newly established company that is designed to grow rapidly, and it is mostly technology driven companies. So mostly depending on technology driven. When it comes to entrepreneurship business, it is also a business which creates a new business venture and which is broader than entrepreneurship. See, all these startups are entrepreneurship, but not all entrepreneurships are startups. We can conclude the difference between these two. See, today is startup business, tomorrow it will become entrepreneurship business. Later on it may become any company business, one person or any multiple person or giant stock company or anything else. So startup is a startup business which today starts and tomorrow it will be converted into entrepreneurship. So these are the basic differences. And when you talk about startup and these two are innovative approach of doing business. So students might be looking at mostly commerce students definitely will be looking for how to start a business, and nowadays we are talking about startup. So let us do something startup. So one must know what is startup and what is entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship business is a broader business than startup business. So today's startup will become tomorrow entrepreneurship. So it is broader term than startup business. So by concluding all these aspects, sole trading, Hindu undivided family form of business, company form of business, cooperative form of business, giant stock company form of business, OPC one person form of business, and startup and entrepreneurship, the choice is with the person who is going to take up the business task. So you can take any kind of business starting from sole trading to OPC company form of businesses. After examination of all these advantages, merits and demerits, so one can start their own business by considering all these issues into consideration. Thank you, Anand all.
Thank you, Professor Anand Pawar sir and Professor Ravi Akula, for sharing your valuable insights. I hope today's discussion has provided you with a deeper understanding of selecting suitable forms of business organization. Thank you all for joining with us. Have a great day.